Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Tooba Ishtiaq from Multan Public School and College, and this is Computer Science 2210 for class O level 9. The chapter 2 in the last topics are USB, ARQ and internet technologies. Today we will discuss about the USB and the ARQ and further internet technologies. And definition: what does universal serial bus mean? A universal serial bus is an asynchronous serial transmission data method, and it has quickly become the standard method for transferring data between a computer and a number of devices. Essentially, the USB cable consists of a 4-wire shielded cable, and 2 of the wires are used for the power and the earth, and 2 of the wires are used in the data transmission. My dear students, this is normally be used in with the computer and computer labs. When a device is plugged into a computer using one of the USB port, the computer automatically detects that a device is present, and this is due to small changes in the voltage level of the data signals wires in the cable, and the device is automatically recognized the appropriate device, and the driver is loaded up so that the computer and the device can communicate effectively. If a new device is detected, the computer will look for the device driver which match the device, and if this is not available, the user is prompted to download the appropriate software. And the universal serial bus is a common interface that enables the communication between the devices and a host controller, such as a personal computer, and it connects the peripheral devices such as digital camera, mic, keyboard, and printers, scanners, media devices, external hardware drivers, and the flash drives. And because of its wide variety of uses, including support for electrical power, and the USB has replaced a wide range of interfaces like the parallel and the serial port. The USB interface was developed as a result of the need for a communications interface that was convenient to use, and one that would support the higher data rates being required within the computer and peripheral industries. The first proper release of a USB specification was version 0.7 of the specification, and this occurred in November 1994. This was followed in January 1996 by USB 1.0, was widely adopted and become the standard on the many PCs as well as many printers, and using the standard in the addition to this a variety of other peripherals adopted the USB interface with small memory sticks and starting to appear as a convenient way for the transferring or temporarily storing data. Here are the summary of USB versions and performance. USB version: USB 1, lower speed 1.5 megabyte per hour. Full speed is 12 Mbps, and USB high speed rate of 480 Mbps, and USB 3 raw data transfer rate of 5 Gbits or /s for USB 3.0 and 10 Gbps for 3.1. And here are some hints and tips how to use the USB. My dear students, many of you already using the USB types of the ports and USB cables, and you know about the hints and the tips, but I want to tell you some more tips and hints. And the USB system is very easy to use and really does not require any instruction for its use. However, a few simple guidelines can help to ensure that it works well and does not cause any hiccups. Number 1, plug device in firmly. Make sure that device is firmly plugged in so that proper contact is made. Also, as the USB plug is retained in the socket by friction, and make sure it has been plugged all the way in so it does not fall out. Number 2, take care plugging in and make sure that plug is the right way round. Sometimes it may need a careful look to make sure that the USB plug is the right way round, and especially with the smaller connectors and USB mini and USB micro, it may not always be easy to see which way round it and should be. So my dear students, the third one is eject properly. Eject properly with device like memory sticks. Make sure that the device is ejected in the software before physically plugging it out. Beware of current restrictions, and USB ports can only supply a certain amount of current. Peripherals like external CD drives or even other equipments may require relatively high levels of current and may not work if connected via an expander or dongle. They may need to be connected directly into the computer port. There are some USB advantages and some disadvantages. Advantages of USB are ease of use and acceptable data rate for many applications, and robust and connector system and variety of connectors type, sizes available, low cost. And disadvantages are data transfer not as fast as some other systems, and limited capacity and overall performance. Now the topic is ARQ, automatic repeat request. AQR, automatic repeat request, also known as automatic repeat query, is an error control method for data transmission that uses the acknowledgement message sent by the receiver, indicating that it has correctly received a packet, and timeout specified periods of the time allowed to elapse before an acknowledgement is to be received to achieve reliable data transmission over an unreliable service. If the sender does not receive an acknowledgement before the timeout, it usually retransmits the packet unit until the sender receives an acknowledgement or exceeds a predefined number of transmissions. Automatic repeat request is another method used to check whether data has been correctly transmitted, and it uses an acknowledgement, a message sent by the receiver indicating that data has been received correctly, and the timeout. This is the time allowed to elapse before an acknowledgement is received. If an acknowledgement isn't sent back to the sender before timeout occur, then the message is automatically resent. And the types of ARQ protocols include the stop and wait ARQ, go back and ARQ, and selective repeat ARQ, selective reject ARQ. All three protocols usually use some form of sliding windows and protocols to tell the transmitter to determine which, if any, packets need to be retransmitted, and these protocols resides in the data link. Now the topic is internet technologies. You must know about the internet technology, many internet technology which you are using nowadays. And internet refers to network of networks. In this network, each computer is recognized by a globally unique address known as IP address, or special computer. One domain name server is used to give name to the IP address to that user can locate a computer by a name. For example, a DNS server will resolve a name http /www and tutorial s.com to a particular IP address to unique different identify the computer on which this website is hosted. And the internet is a worldwide system of a computer network, and all computers attached to the internet can communicate with each other, providing a number of rules and protocols. ISP, Internet Service Provider. ISP, each user makes use of an internet service provider, and there are companies that provides the user with access to the internet. A monthly fee is usually charged for service, and the ISP will set up a user account which will contain a username and a password. Most ISPs also give the user an email address before ISPs became the common in the 1990s. Internet access was usually limited to users who were part of the university or a government agency. Internet protocol address, IP address. Each device on the internet is given a unique address known as the internet protocol address. This is a 32-bit number which is usually written in the form of 109.108.158.1. At home computer is given an IP address and it connects to the internet. So this is assigned by the ISP and the unique for that particular internet session. So dear students, the only IP and IP address can be used instead of typing in the full URL. For example, http // and 109.108.158.1. So IP internet protocol addresses is an address of your network hardware, and it helps in connecting your computers to other devices on your network and all over the world. An IP address is made up of numbers or characters. An example of an IP address would be of like 506.457.14.512. All devices that are connected to an internet connection have a unique address, and like many of you have a unique addresses of your residential area or your residence. Nobody can match your residence. Like your house number is different, the other one is different. So all IP addresses or internet protocol service provided give you a significant or different type of your IP addresses. All devices that are connected to an internet connections have a unique IP address, which means that there is a need of billions of IP addresses, and this requirement is fulfilled by the new IP versions and IPVs. HTML structure and presentation. HTML, a hypertext markup language, and hypertext markup language, and when writing the HTML code is very important to realize that there is a difference. There is a difference between the structure and the presentation. So students, keep in your mind that structure is the essential part of the HTML documents, and it includes the semantics, meanings, and structural markup of the documents. Presentation is the style of documents, how the documents will look or even sound if it include the multimedia elements. These two features must be kept separately throughout the designing of a web page. At the end of the design process, the author should have an HTML document which contains the structure and the actual content and a separate CSS. Do you know what is CSS? Cascading style sheet file, and the CSS file will contain the everything to control the actual presentation of the web page. So HTML hypertext markup language is the recognized markup language and utilized in forming web pages, and it defines the composition of web pages by using the markup. And HTML elements are the firmly units of the HTML pages and are denoted by the tags. HTML tags labeled a part of content like headings, paragraphs, and tables. Browsers do not show the HTML tags, but they are used in the background in order to deliver the content of the page. HTML tag. What is HTML tags? So, my dear students, HTML tags are element names enclosed by angle brackets, and HTML tags usually comes in the pairs, and the first tag in a pair is the start tag, and the second tag is the end tag, and the end tag is written like the start tag but with a forward slash inserted before the tag name. The start tag is sometimes also called the opening tag, and the end tag is the closing tag. Hypertext transfer protocol, and HTTP stands for hypertext transfer protocol, and www is about the communication between the web client and servers. Communication between the client computers and web servers is done by the sending HTTP request and receiving the HTTP responses. World Wide Web Communication. WWW stands for World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is about the communication between the web clients and the web servers, and the clients are often browsers and Chrome, Edge, and Safari, but they can be any type of program. Or device. Servers are most often computers in the cloud. Web browsing is a software which allows a user to display a web page on their computer screen, and web browser interpret or translate the HTML code from the websites and show the result of the translation. This can often be in the form of the videos, images, or sound. Most web browsers share the following features. Means they have a home page, they have the ability to store a user's favorite websites pages, and they keep a history of the website visited by the user. They give the ability to go backward and forward to websites opened. Users can either click on the link and they can type in the Uniform Resource Locator. URL stand for the Uniform Resource Locator. These are the common, but some of the people does not know about these abbreviations. URL, we always use the URL, but some of us, those who are not IT in trainer or and has the IT knowledge, and they cannot tell about the URL, and but you people, the computer student, must know about the URL. URL means the Uniform Resource Locator. And the World Wide Web is about the communication between web clients and the web servers. Clients are often browsers, the Chrome, Edge, Safari, but they can be any type of program or device. Servers are most often computers in the cloud. HTTP request or response. Communication between the clients and the servers is done by the request and responses. A client, a browser, send an HTTP request to the web, and web server receives the request, and the server runs an application to process the request, and the server returns an HTTP response output to the browser, and the client, the browser, receives the response. The HTTP request circle. The browser requests an HTML page, and the server returns an HTML file. The browser requests a style sheet, and the server returns a CSS file. The browser requests an JPG image, and the server returns a JPG file. And the browser requests JavaScript code, and the server returns AJS files. And the browser requests data, and the server returns data in XML or JSON. Web browsing. What is web browsing? A web browsing browser, or simply browser, is an application used to access and view the websites. Common web browsers includes the Microsoft Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, and Mozilla Firefox, and Apple Safari. And the primary function of a web browser is to render the HTML and the code used to design and mark up web page. Each time a browser loads a web page, and it processes the HTML, which may include the text and the references to the image and the other items, such as case coding system or JavaScript functions, and the browser process these items and then renders them in the browser window. Thanks for watching. Until the next lecture, thank you all. Stay blessed. Allah Hafiz, and thank you for all.